The waters of antiquity and the oil of the ancients, a restoration of the primal order. To enter a 19th century Latter-day Saint LDS temple was to exit the American frontier and step into a stream of time flowing from creation. For early saints, initiatory ordinances were not mere rituals. They were a physical bridge to a lost world. Joseph Smith's restoration of all things signaled the return of a primordial pure language and rites whispered to Adam, later veiled during the Great Apostasy. The Garment of Light, Gnostic echoes. The mid-20th century discovery of the Nag Hammadi library revealed early Christian Gnostic texts, like the Gospel of Philip, which describe a ritual sequence strikingly familiar to LDS ordinances: baptism, chrism, anointing, and a bridal chamber. The Gnostics believed that while baptism washes the soul, the chrism imparts the power of the light. Similarly, Brigham Young taught that anointing was a literal sealing against the destroyer. In the Gnostic books of Jew, initiates received a new name to pass heavenly guardians, a tradition mirrored by the 19th century saints receiving names never to be forgotten. This was viewed as celestial science, tuning the human body to endure the presence of God. Watchmen and priestesses, the blood of this generation. A distinct feature of the 19th century initiatory was the blessing for women. In 1877, as ceremonies were codified, a woman was pronounced clean from the blood and sins of this generation. This distinction stems from the Hebrew concept of the watchman. In Ezekiel 3:17-19, a watchman who fails to warn the wicked is held responsible for their blood. In LDS theology, every Melchizedek priesthood holder was a watchman on the tower, meaning a man could not be pronounced clean until his missionary labor was complete. Women, however, were viewed through the lens of primal purity. Leaders like Eliza R. Snow taught that women were being restored to the status of Eve before the fall. This ritual reset their spiritual clock, enshrining them as priestesses of a new creation, unburdened by the generational debts of a fallen world. The Hebrew foundation and sacred biology. The ritual language was deeply Hebraic. The early practice of washings and perfuming in Kirtland mirrored the Hebrew mikveh. However, the Restoration added an investiture, the garment of the holy priesthood. This finds a parallel in the Testament of Levi, where Levi is clothed in a robe of priesthood and garment of truth. To the saints, these were the coats of skins given to Adam and Eve for protection. Furthermore, early leaders spoke of a sacred biology. They believed the ordinances literally purged Gentile blood, replacing it with the blood of Israel. For women, being clean from the blood of this generation ensured they were pure fountains for the next generation of the covenant. From the laver to the throne, the initiatory was a mystical journey. Anointing specific body parts, eyes to see, ears to hear, mirrored ancient Egyptian and Pythagorean traditions where every physical part has a spiritual counterpart. By extending the anointing, traditionally reserved for kings and high priests, to the common saint, Joseph Smith democratized the divine. He signaled to every pioneer and mother that they were royalty. The temple was where the end met the beginning. Participants were no longer just desert pioneers. They were the anointed ones, carrying the scent of Eden and the names of eternity.